friends, welcome to another sketchbook tour. Ooh, I don't know what that was, but hi, welcome. Before we dive into this bad boy, I want to give you the deets of the sketchbook. It is a Moleskine Art Plus sketchbook, I believe. I started this in January of 2019, so January of this year, and I just finished it last month. So this is from January to July of 2019, and I will have the names of all of the owners of these stickers also listed here and in the doobly-doo. This one's mine. But yeah, I am excited to go down this memory lane with you. A lot has changed in the last 6 months, and let's dive on in. Also, I do have a fan going because it is too warm for me to sit here and talk to you without a fan. So let's get into it. You see here, January 18th to July 19th, 2019. I still haven't started my new sketchbook, actually, which is a little bit not great, but I'm looking forward to making progress in that in the coming months, because hopefully next time it won't take me 6 months to get through a sketchbook. So here we are, first page. This is from when I went on a walk in my old neighborhood in Capitol Hill and just kind of drew the houses around. You'll see here that I use a red prismacolor col-erase pencil to sketch out, and then I ink and color over it. Oh, Sophie's gonna say hello. Soph, right now is literally the one time that you can't be here. Where are you trying to be, honey? No, I love you, but you, Sophie, come here. You good? Okay. I use a red Prismacolor col-erase pencil to sketch with, and then I go over with ink and color. It's pretty much my standard process. I love colored pencils. You will also see that I get into gouache a lot later. Also, quite a few sketches in here were just never inked or colored in because, frankly, I got lazy, which is just fine. On this page, I copied a lot from the artist Michelle Lamoureux. She's an incredible illustrator. You'll see throughout the sketchbook that I often will copy the styles and pieces of other illustrators just to try and figure out what their sort of je ne sais quoi is, what it is about their work that draws me to it so much, and how I can use that knowledge to further improve my own artwork. Obviously, I would never try and market someone else's work as my own, but it's helpful for learning and practical purposes. I also started experimenting with gouache, I think, for the first time on this page, and I was so pleased with the texture and how opaque it is. You will see here, I started working on my hands. Another illustrator who's absolutely incredible is Alexa Sharp. I love the way she draws hands. They're so expressive and elegant and just delicious. So I was practicing hands for a Pride and Prejudice prompt that I was doing, the infamous carriage scene. This is what it looks like in the movie, but I was like, this is gonna be my interpretation of it. So I was like, I gotta practice my hands. So I did. Pride and Prejudice week was rough. Pretty much for the past 6 months, I've been going through, I even have a little list of things I'm attracted to in art. Fluidity, bold colors, texture, dope line work, simple but detailed environments. This is also actually something that I pulled out of my sketchbook. These are my weaknesses that I need to work on, so I'm just gonna have those right there as a handy little reminder, because I definitely did not work on these as much as I should have in the sketchbook, but I'll work on these in the next one. I'm not gonna keep this here. I'm gonna put that away again. Basically, kind of through the past 6 months, I've just kind of been trying to figure out my style, figure out what it is that I like about my art, what it is about it that I want to change. I have a dear friend, a new art friend that I made through Twitter. Her name is Lianne. She draws the most beautiful botanical work, particularly her mushrooms are the cutest things ever. So I was very inspired to just draw a lot of mushrooms. This is also a reference from Cheyenne on Instagram, and she is overwhelmingly drawable. But basically this sketchbook, I was just trying to, I spent a lot of time kind of like just figuring out my style. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm going through a crisis right now, y'all. Here's when I was trying to sketch out my character for Misadventure May. This is the design that I like settled on. Their name is Cal. I love them very much. I think they're so cute. As you can see, lots of red pencil sketches that I didn't quite color in. Yeah, I also like, so I would draw something and then I would be like for instance, I wrote here, really like this. So I was trying to figure out why did I like this so much? What is it about it? And I think it has to do with kind of the shape of the body and how fluid it is. I also really like the way that I drew the legs. Here, for instance, I really like the way I drew the legs as well. Like I prefer this to this kind of style, though I think that this is still super fun depending on the piece. So I'm also trying to understand that your style isn't like a stagnant thing that never changes and never evolves and doesn't shift from piece to piece, but right now I would like, you gotta have a home base, and right now I'm not super satisfied with my home base illustration, so trying to figure out what's up. I love this potions dealer. I really love how he turned out. I'm a big fan of character design. I have an entire board dedicated to it on my Pinterest because it's particularly common with like fantasy character designs where they have sort of exaggerated traits, and I just love how it communicates personality. And that's something that I'm trying to develop in my work right now, is focusing more on sort of worrying more about feeling and personality and expression as opposed to accuracy, which is hard for me to let go of. So I'm trying to lean more into Sora, my baby, hi. Trying to lean more into the like gesture is more important than anatomy, which is a tweet that I saw ages ago. This is more Misadventure May stuff. I used to be really into drawing mermaids. I don't draw them nearly as much anymore now. Like even back whenever this is from. I think this is back in April. But when I was like when I was in college and high school, I drew a lot of mermaids. This is actually a redraw of a drawing that my parents pulled out that I made, I think in like 2006 or 7, which is wild. Here I was experimenting with eyes and kind of ways to draw bodies. A lot of this is influenced by Fran Nerd, who is one of my biggest inspirations. She's amazing and so incredible. So I was trying to see, I was like, how does she go about drawing eyes? I love the way that she handles bodies, but I realized that it wasn't quite, like, it doesn't, you know, you have a lot of influences and you're trying to learn things constantly, but things obviously don't feel right because they're not yours. So I'm like, what is it about Fran's style that I find so, like, charming and enticing? And I think it's just how expressive all of her work is. Like, for instance, I really like the way that this little person turned out in particular. I think that they're very cute. I think the feeling is well communicated. I like the way that I drew their face. I just kind of like the whole thing. And I think that I just have to get more comfortable just drawing people not facing forward or 3/4 to the left, standing straight, you know? But again, this is about me trying hard to get out of my comfort zone. I did not go as far out of it as I technically really should have in this sketchbook, because that's what sketchbooks are for. They are for exploration, but I worry a lot about how pretty it looks, and I shouldn't. I get caught up in my fears and my discomfort a lot, so it prevents me from really truly experimenting and pushing the boundaries of my work. And so I just tend to draw the same thing over and over again. There's little Soph! Here I was drawing some people in the airport. I love him. I don't like her. My problem with drawing people from life is that I get too caught up in the details, and so I have a hard time stylizing them. Because, you know, again, work on feeling, work on gesture, work on expression, and I try to get too caught up in the, like, preciseness of it, which hinders me more than it helps me. Princess Peach. She's a good one. I also used to draw Princess Peach a lot just because she's such a great character. Her character design is so good. And Link, my boy. Link is so handsome. This was actually, I think, right after I beat Ganon. I'm still going back through. I have to finish all my side quests and stuff. Oh, speaking of Fran, this is from one of her Patreon live streams. She was drawing her studio, and so I was also looking around my desk and trying to draw things that I was seeing. Also, this is Pat Gill from Polygon, because he is an icon. More sort of simple doodles. These I think were all done during the month of June. You know what, I'm actually gonna put this back in here. If we're gonna be talking about weaknesses, this is stuff that I wrote down. Poses, hands, body type, scenery, men, handsome men, clothes, body language, facial expressions, perspective, composition, and couples. Sort of like, you know, romantic interactions, because I want to draw pictures of like me and Connor, and I don't know how to approach that. So again, more exploration, trying to figure out how I want to go about drawing bodies, how I want to go about drawing eyes, experimenting with gouache. Like, this was so fun because I was like, this looks fun and lively. I like how I drew the arms, how wiggly they were. It took me forever to get this hand right. I had to get my friend to go into my bedroom and get my guitar and sit down in front of me and hold it so that I could see how the hell this hand was supposed to look like. And also gouache is just it's so good. Again, I really like this too, but it feels, I don't know, like there's bits and pieces of all these doodles. And I know that like style is the kind of thing that just sort of emerges as you just keep drawing more and more and more. And I think I need to trust more in that process of just drawing people that I see around and trusting in the fact that my stylization and what feels right will eventually click into place. This was actually practice for a zine that I'm thinking about doing about like my favorite outfits, and I did it in like my sort of style first, and then I tried it in a different style. This is Anna Kim's style, who is another amazing illustrator. Her work is so cute, and I love her outfit of the day, so I tried it out in her style. And again, I kind of like her, I just like the sort of cartoony, flowy fluidity of her work, and so I think that's maybe something that a little something that I'm not so keen on my work, is that a lot of my work feels very, I want it to be kind of more whimsical, and I think a lot of it feels very like, clunky is too heavy of a word. Do you understand what I'm saying? I might be crazy talking about this like this, but this is how I feel. Another artist that I love, who actually does incredible animation work here on YouTube, is Kind of Link. That is his Instagram handle. I'll have his stuff linked below. He has an incredible McRoy animatic that is one of my favorite things I've ever seen to this day. His work is so expressive, and I think that his he has such an incredible handle on body language and facial expressions. And so this was kind of inspired by him. He's very good. I love this page. I love the colors that I used. I was getting back into my copics actually. Several of these faces were heavily inspired by Soul Selena's illustration on Instagram. They draw their faces are so good. Like, their work has so much life in it. I find that their characters are amazing. I love the way they draw faces. So I was heavily inspired by them. These next few pages are mostly sketches. There's not a lot of like inking and color to them. And so whichever ones I can't really get on camera, I'll make sure to put in another photo right here so you can see what's going on. Yep, just still kind of sketching out. I think I sketched this in the dark while I was watching a comedy show, where I was at my friend's improv show, because frankly watching improv show makes me so anxious. So I was like, I'm just gonna draw while I do this. This was when I discovered another incredible artist named Felicita Sala. Her food illustration is to die for. And so I also loved the way she drew hair, and I liked the way that she handled faces, and so I was so inspired by her. Her work is amazing. Got me way into drawing like food and things. Again, this is all very heavily inspired by Felicita, because again, trying to figure out what makes it tick. Also, actually, looking at her work was super useful in helping me figure out my coloring process when it comes to both traditional and digital media. I also really like this old man. I think he turned out so cute. I really like him. He looks like I made him into like a merchant in a video game. These pages in particular are super light. This was done in Sweden. Yeah, this was done in Sweden while me and Connor were sitting by the lake. This was also done in Sweden, just kind of drawing what I see around me. Me trying to do another OOTD a la Ada Kim. Cute girl that we saw at the Midsummer Festival. A draw this in your style that I wanted to try. Me and Connor rode our bikes a lot. It is so hard to draw bikes. I have no idea how to even begin to like approach them. So I tried my best though. I was super inspired to do like a painting when Connor and I went to like the ruins of a castle. There was like an old oven in the wall, and I wanted to do a painting of like an old brick, like a stone, like a brick oven with like a bunch of flowers blooming out of it, or like a witch who bakes her bread and flowers. So I was trying to draw old ladies. I was trying to think of cool stuff. Also, I stopped drawing on this side of the page a while back because I noticed that the colored pencils smudged a lot between pages, and I was not keen on it. So here's one last Sweden page, and then here, this is basically me copying Soul Salinas from Instagram, because again, their style is so good, and I love the way they draw faces. So I do this to try and figure out the je ne sais quoi of different artists' work. This is one of my favorite things in this sketchbook. I referenced it off of a photo from Pinterest. So it was the sweater and the skirt, and then I drew the face and the head. And I love the movement in her. I think her face is really pretty. I was just super happy with it. This is also reference off a painting that I have pinned on Pinterest. Pinterest and Instagram, good places to find inspiration to just draw things if you can't get to a coffee shop and people watch. Here I have a note that says gesture over anatomy. This is a little thank you sticker from Ghost Puff Mona. Ghost Puff is another one of my favorite illustrators, and she's also a dear artist friend of mine. Her work is so good. Her colors and the way that she draws environments, her work is just so, her work feels very magical, which I really, really like. I did figure out from Felicita Sala, I kind of figured out how I like to draw hair, which was really cool. I also like this person. Like, I like the noodlier, that's the word. I like noodlier proportions where things are just kind of like, people look like they're kind of made out of noodles, because it helps sort of lift them off the page a little bit more and doesn't make them feel so clunky. I was drawing faces at Joe Bar. I was really happy with how these turned out. I think that I captured the people well. Here, this is like the last few pages of my sketchbook. I was practicing with some new gouache colors that I had just gotten. Gouache and colored pencils is really truly like the dream texture. I was also again thinking of here like what I was talking about in terms of fantasy with like exaggerated proportions. This obviously isn't quite so extreme, but I was thinking about Travis McRoy in this, and how he really truly does look like a triangle because his shoulders are so broad and his waist is so narrow. Thinking about shapes and gesture and expression over accuracy, and trusting that my audience will get what's going on. This is all very heavily referenced from Ghost Puff again, because I was just sort of trying to figure out her composition and her colors. I also learned here that sketching in the red Prismacolor col-erase and then erasing it and then coloring in was super helpful so that I didn't have like sketch marks left over. This is also reference from Rebecca Green, who is one of my all-time favorite illustrators. her work is really truly something else. So I would highly recommend her work. Here we have more of me practicing with gouache and color pencils. I like this little witch. I think she turned out so cute. I also think here is when I really started discovering how much I like these starbursts, like having starbursts behind drawings. It's very fun. And then this was the last page, experimenting with, like, again, different head shapes and bodies and things. I think towards the end of this sketchbook, I very sort of barely started getting into really breaking out of my comfort zone. But my big goal for my next book, my next sketchbook, is to really actively work on the things that I'm terrified of and the things that scare me, because the only way to grow as an artist and the only way to grow in any part of your life is to focus on the shit that scares you and try to make it not scare you anymore. So that's what I'm going to be working on in my next sketchbook. I'm so excited. So I was recently cast in a movie. I'm going to be playing the romantic lead in an indie feature that I'm going to be filming this month. And I'm so excited. I can't deal. I'm so thrilled. I leave on Wednesday. I'm going to be living on site, and I am just over the moon about it, and I'm so excited. But I'm going to be drawing a lot while I'm there. I'm going to be capturing some, like, behind the scenes vlog stuff, but I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm already pretty MIA as is, but I'll be even more MIA on my social media channels for this next month. But I've got a lot of stuff, fun things planned for the fall, and I'm so freaking excited about this movie, you guys. You have no idea. It also takes place in the 1920s, and so I get to wear really, really cute clothes, and I'm so sassy and smart and a woman ahead of my time, and I'm so excited. I'm also going to keep this and, like, rewrite it and pin it up on my wall so I look at it every day, so I remember the things that I need to work on. And I'm just so excited. I'm going to have a link to the movie's Indiegogo in the description. It's called Maysville. Like I said, I'll have the link to the Indiegogo in the description if you guys want to learn more about it. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I'm going to be filming behind the scenes stuff, and I'll probably edit it into a vlog when I get back, because I can't show y'all too much because we don't want to spoil the movie. But I'm so freaking excited. But yeah, a lot about my art has changed over the last 6 months, and I am really excited to see where it goes. Like I said, I have quite a few fun, like, projects and things that I want to work on for the fall. And I'm thrilled to see how my style continues to change and how I continue to grow. I am really inspired by how much I've grown over the last 6 months, and I am also very humbled by how much I still have to learn and how much I have to work on. But it's important to view your weaknesses as opportunities for growth, because discomfort is really, truly the only way to grow. You gotta be comfortable with you gotta relish in the gross feelings of discomfort and terror. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in my next sketchbook. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much for watching. I want to say thank you to my patrons for being rad as all hell. Because of y'all, I was able to spend pretty much the entire month of June just, like, practicing on my art. Half of this sketchbook I did in June, which is amazing. But because of you patrons, I'm just able to, like, spend days sitting and painting with my sketchbook, and it is such a true dream. And also because of you, I am able to live in this beautiful apartment and have a home with Connor and Sophie, which I'm so thankful for. So thank you, patrons. You're dope as all hell. And thank you so much for watching. I think you are amazing. I think you're the bee's knees. I think you're the best thing since sliced bread. I hope you're having a good weekend or afternoon or morning or weekday, whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope it's dope. Try not to melt in this heat and stay brilliant. I will talk to you soon. I love you so much. Bye.